Today I'd like to share with you the Crucible textual analysis. Proctor says, I have trouble enough without I come 5 miles to hear and preach only hellfire and bloody damnation. Take it to heart, Mr. Paris. There are many others who stay away from church these days because they hardly ever mention God anymore. Paris says, why, that's a drastic charge. Rebecca Nurse says, it's somewhat true. There are many that quail to bring their children. Paris says, I do not preach for children, Rebecca. It is not the children who are unmindful of the obligations toward the ministry. Rebecca Nurse says, are there really those unmindful? And Paris says, I should say that better half of Salem Village. Putnam says, and more than that. Paris says, where is my wood? My contract provides I be supplied with all my firewood. I am waiting since November for a sick, and even in November I had to show my frostbitten hands like some London beggar. Giles Corey says, you are allowed £6 a year to buy your wood, Mr. Paris. And Paris says, I regard that £6 as part of my salary. I'm paid little enough without I spend £6 on firewood. Proctor says 60 plus 6 for firewood. And Paris says, the salary is £66, Mr. Proctor, and I am not some preaching farmer with a book under my arm. I am a graduate of Harvard College. Giles Corey says, and well instructed in arithmetic. Paris says, Mr. Corey, you will look far for a man of my kind at £60 a year. I'm not used to this poverty. I left a 30 business in the Barbados to serve the Lord. I do not fathom it. Why am I persecuted here? I cannot offer one proposition, but there will be a howling riot of argument. I have often wondered if the devil be in it somewhere. I cannot understand you people otherwise. Proctor says, Mr. Paris, you are the first minister ever did demand the deed to this house. Paris says, man, don't a minister deserve a house to live in? Proctor says, to live in, yes, but to ask for ownership is like you shall own the meeting house itself. The last meeting I were at, you spoke so long on deeds and mortgages, I thought it were an auction. Paris says, I want a mark of confidence is all. I am your third preacher in 7 years. I do not wish to be put out like a cat whenever some majority feels the whim. You people seem not to comprehend that a minister is the Lord's man in the parish. A minister is not to be so slightly crossed and contradicted. Putnam says, aye. There is either obedience or the church will burn like hell is burning. Proctor says, can you speak 1 minute without we land in hell again? I'm sick of hell. Paris says, it's not for you to say what is good for you to hear. And Proctor says, I may speak my heart, I think. Now, when they're talking about the house and the deed to the house, there is a thing called a parsonage, and that's where the pastor lives, but it's owned by the church. And what they're saying is that the pastor asked to own the parsonage, not just live there. All righty, thank you.